Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in, imagine breathing in a feeling of resourceful relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow your eyelids to close. And in closing, notice that you're able to give more of your focused attention to the sound of my voice. As you breathe in and breathe out, just notice that as you exhale, feelings of stress, tension, worries leave your body in your outward breath. Continue to breathe in and breathe out, imagining a bright, glowing, resourceful feeling of relaxation going in through your nose. Feel that resourcefulness. And as you exhale, I want you to get a sense that feelings of tension and stress just naturally leave your body, and you can see that in the darkness of the color that leaves your outward breath, enabling you to go deeper and deeper, relaxed. I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine a fairy tale land, perhaps a castle, a palace, and then a kingdom surrounding you. I want you to get a sense that you are in the palace currently. Imagine perhaps that you're in a tower, but I want you to imagine that this tower is a gilded cage. Yes, you have your own company. You have all the power to make the decisions that you want to make when you want to make them. But it feels like something is missing in this palace. I want you to imagine that in this kingdom is 1 million people. And I want you to accept the suggestion that in this kingdom of 1 million people, one person is the right person for you. I want you to get a sense that you feel that it's positive, exciting to know that there is one person in this kingdom that is the right person for you, but you realize that you don't know who that person is. And that person doesn't know that you're looking for them. I want you to get a sense, therefore, that you are on a treasure hunt. The treasure is the person that's right for you. But also appreciate that they are your treasure and you become their treasure. And therefore, that unwavering belief that there is one person in the kingdom that is the person that is right for you and that you are right for them creates a motivation, a desire to go on a quest. But first of all, you have to narrow that 1 million people down to perhaps 100 or 200 people in the kingdom that could be the right one. I want you to imagine there in your palace room in a tower in this kingdom. Imagine having a futuristic screen And on that screen, I want you to create an avatar, an archetype of the kind of qualities and characteristics of the right person for you. It's really important that you make this characteristics and attributes rather than specific physical features linked to one person, because all too often, when people get a fixed idea of an individual rather than the characteristics, they end up with someone that looks like the person they want to be with, but they compromise on all those other desirable characteristics that are really important to them. And on that screen, I want you to imagine either facial expressions, body language, or even just words or gestures that represent those qualities that are important for you. Perhaps a word that you throw up on that screen is friendship, respect, someone that is harmonious and accepting and considerate. And you might find that there is a single avatar that starts to take this form, or perhaps multiple icons, characteristics, all different symbols of those types of characteristics. For generosity, you might see an icon of someone giving a gift, even if that gift is time. For kindness, you might see someone with a big heart. For consideration, maybe a thought bubble that they are thinking about someone other than themselves, because isn't consideration the opposite of selfishness? I want you to imagine here that you are creating a radar, a detector, a filter, so that every single person that you meet can then be compared against this avatar, this character traits of someone that's desirable for you. So you can get to a stage that within seconds you can figure out, are they a contender to be your prince, to be the treasure, or are they someone that you can filter out and invest no more time to even think or consider? Perhaps you can see other qualities. Maybe you get a sense of things like, are they healthy? Maybe there's optional things that aren't necessary but might be desirable. What kind of physical characteristics? Are they skinny? Are they strong? Are they well groomed or very relaxed? Do they dress smart or very casual? I want you to get a sense that there are certain things that you need. There's certain things you like. And there's certain things that you want. And I want you to get a sense that one of the things that perhaps that you need is for them to also be single. Perhaps you need that they have a certain level of intelligence or consideration. Maybe you want them to be responsible or able to make decisions and look after themselves. But whatever these qualities are for you, they're your qualities and your criteria. And I want you to get a sense that anyone that doesn't match a need is immediately filtered out. And what's remaining means that there are things that you want and that you like that can make that person more or less desirable, but you will allow your intuition to figure out how important these qualities are. There you are in your tower. You have this idea of the kind of person that you want to be with. And then I want you to get a sense that you're thinking, where would someone like this be? Where would you find them? Imagine your kingdom is a fairy tale kingdom, but with modern things in it. If you were to find them in a physical place, where would that physical place be? If you were to find them doing some kind of activity, some recreational thing, or being in a place around other people, some kind of social gathering, what kind of social gatherings would they go? I want you to get a sense that immediately this 1 million people in the kingdom has already been whittled down to a few thousand, because many of those 1 million won't meet the things that you need to be there in the person that you would even consider. And then of that few thousand, you start thinking, where are they likely to be? How could you increase the probability of paths crossing, that conversations can take place? I want you to get a sense of how an interaction would take place if you did meet someone that met that criteria. Would it start with eye contact? Or with a message? Or with an introduction from a friend? I want you to get a sense that you now have a sense that there are people out there that will meet your criteria. And I want you to think of a core belief that anyone that is not interested in you or not respectful of you is automatically not meeting your core need, and therefore can immediately be filtered out. I want you to get a sense that in this kingdom there is no rejection, only compatibility. People that are right or people that are not right. People that could be right for you and those that are definitely not right for you. I want you to get a sense that because you don't know specifically where your prince is, therefore, isn't it a requirement to investigate many different possible ways of finding that prince, discovering that treasure? I want you to get a sense that there are many different ways in which you could do that. And each way just increases the probability of finding someone that is right for you. I want you to imagine that if you were joining clubs or societies or organizations, which ones would you join that would increase the probability? What kind of work would you need to do to increase the chance of bumping into someone that meets your criteria? If you were networking with different types of people, how would you network and where would those networks exist? Many relationships are formed from introductions from mutual friends. What mutual friends, or what friends can you just let know that you're looking to find someone? Imagine describing the qualities of that kind of person. And don't be surprised if there are more people that you know that like to play the role of Cupid than you realize, and once you start letting people know that you're on a hunt to find your prince, to find your treasure, don't be surprised if people start saying, I know someone that I think you would like. But I want you to realize that compatibility is a game of probability. And therefore, doesn't it make sense to increase the probability of compatibility by evaluating chemistry early in the process? Maybe that's a phone call, a video call, or just messages exchanged, getting a sense of the personality of that particular individual. I want you to get a sense that although sometimes it's adventurous to go on a blind date, meeting someone that you've never met before, doesn't it reduce the odds of disappointment to have a chat with them on a video call first? I want you to get a sense that now you're clear on the person that you want to be with. You have unlocked a desire to naturally become more of the person that would attract the person that you want to be with. They say like attracts like. The qualities that you would find attractive in someone else, I want you to imagine that you're doing the things that would amplify those qualities in you. If you would want to be interested in someone, what can you do to make yourself more interesting? If you would like someone to be healthy, what can you do to become even healthier? If you would want to be with someone that is confident and self-assured, how can you increase your own confidence and self-assurance, perhaps by venturing out of your comfort zone, doing things you wouldn't normally do, experiencing things you wouldn't normally experience, so that as you evolve, develop and grow as a person, you're also increasing the probability of serendipity, this natural ability to randomly bump into the person that meets your criteria. I want you to imagine doing that you randomly bump into someone that fits your criteria. And I want you to imagine letting them know that you're interested in them, perhaps not in a very obvious way, but in a subtle way to let them know that you've noticed them. I want you to get a sense that that confidence, that openness, that willingness to allow for a conversation to take place increases the probability of them making an invitation to get to know you even more. I want you to imagine yourself doing adventurous things, learning things you don't currently know, traveling to places you haven't been yet, and being open to finding that right person for you. I want you to get a sense that in this quest, there are no guarantees. And therefore, is it fair to have expectations on what people will be like, what people will want, what other people will find desirable or attractive, or what perhaps is on their criteria? So I want you to have a rule for yourself on this quest in your kingdom that you will not have expectations, but instead you will just appreciate any positive experiences that happens on your journey, on your quest. Isn't it possible that you can meet someone that is not the right person for you but still have a delicious meal? Isn't it possible that you can go on a date or two with someone that isn't right as a relationship but could form a friendship? Isn't it possible that you meet someone and they're not right for you, but you learn something interesting that you didn't realize before? All of these things are opportunities for appreciation, and I want also you to entertain the idea that in order to be successful on your quest, you will need to take the occasional risk. There are no certainties in this quest, and therefore, in playing a game of probability, don't you need to take some chances? I want you to imagine that if you had a pair of dice and the objective was to get a double six, would it be fair to roll the dice once and get upset if the dice didn't immediately show you two sixes face up? As unlikely as it would be that you roll a double six on the very first attempt, it's almost a certainty that if you rolled the dice 100 times, that double six would come up several times in that 100 attempt. And therefore, doesn't it make sense to just roll the dice? With no expectations, no guarantees, but each time you roll the dice, you increase the probability of getting the outcome that you want. So maybe it is worth joining that dating app, joining that club, going to that social gathering, catching up with an old friend, not because it's guaranteed to create the outcome that you want, but more that the more you roll the dice, the more you increase the probability of getting that double six. I want you to get a sense that you are unlocking all of the qualities required for you to create that serendipity, that chance meeting, the conversation where chemistry naturally occurs, mutual attraction is there, and who knows what friendship could turn into a relationship. But when you have those expectations attached, you create an increased probability of disappointment. So you're willing to put your expectations to the side, and you're happy to go on this quest knowing that just in the old fairy tales, you might have to kiss a few frogs before you find that prince. I want you to imagine now that you are going forwards in time 3 years, and I want you to imagine that you've already found your prince and that you're in a happy relationship with that person. And then think back and realize that didn't it require a sense of optimism, a sense of chance, vulnerability, risk-taking, but equally resilience. Not every person out there is right for you, and you won't be right for every person, so therefore there is no rejection, just a lack of compatibility. I want you to get a sense that when you go into the future and look backwards, of course it was inevitable, but it was only inevitable because of the cause and effect relationship. You manifested this outcome by doing the right things with no guarantee of success. But in doing the right things, you created more confidence, more clarity, more experiences that evolved you as a person, that led to a moment of serendipity that had a chain reaction that led to the relationship that you're then in. It's now time to leave the future, but also leave this magical kingdom, knowing that what makes a quest exciting is the fact that there is no guarantee of success or victory. But isn't it an adventure anyway? You leave the quest, you leave the kingdom, you leave the adventure, and find yourself back in the present, in your own body. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, get a sense that you're in your own physical body right now. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, you will awaken with a feeling of optimism, positivity, clarity, but also a sense of adventure, that you have all of the resources necessary to start your quest and to find your prince. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.